Welcome to our exploration of gross domestic product or GDP. This concept is central to understanding a nation's income and economic health. In this video, we'll break down what GDP is, how it's measured, and why it matters. We'll also look at its relationship to spending, income, and overall well-being. Whether you're a student, professional, or simply curious about economics, this journey will help clarify the fundamentals of GDP and its impact on society. Let's start by setting the stage for why economists focus so much on this single number. Before we dive deeper, let's consider the main questions economists ask about GDP. What exactly is gross domestic product? How does it relate to a nation's total income and spending? What are the components that make up GDP? How do we adjust GDP for inflation, and does it truly measure society's well-being? These questions guide our understanding and will be answered throughout this video. By addressing each, we'll build a comprehensive picture of GDP's role in economic analysis. Economics is divided into two main branches, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics studies how households and firms make decisions and interact in markets. Macroeconomics, on the other hand, looks at economy-wide phenomena including inflation, unemployment, and economic growth. GDP is a macroeconomic concept, providing a snapshot of the entire economy's performance. Understanding the distinction between micro and macro helps us see why GDP is such a crucial measure for policymakers and analysts. GDP measures both the total income of everyone in the economy and the total expenditure on the economy's output of goods and services. For the economy as a whole, income equals expenditure. This is because every dollar spent by a buyer becomes income for a seller. This fundamental equality forms the basis for measuring GDP and helps us understand the flow of money within a nation. Circular flow diagram is a simple depiction of the macroeconomy. It illustrates GDP as spending, revenue, factor payments, and income. Factors of production such as labor, land, capital, and natural resources are inputs used to produce goods and services. Factor payments are the wages, rent, and profits paid to these inputs. This diagram helps visualize how money moves through the economy, connecting households and firms. The circular flow diagram, households own the factors of production and sell or rent them to firms for income. They also buy and consume goods and services. Firms, meanwhile, buy or hire factors of production to produce goods and services which they then sell. This interaction forms the core of economic activity, showing how resources and products move between households and firms. Circular flow diagram shows revenue, spending, and income as equal to GDP. Goods and services are sold in markets bought by households and produced by firms using labor, land, and capital. Payments for these factors, wages, rent, and profit, are also part of GDP. This flow demonstrates how economic activity is measured and tracked. While the circular flow diagram is useful, it omits several important sectors. The government collects taxes and buys goods and services. The financial system matches savers with borrowers, facilitating loans. The foreign sector trades goods, services, financial assets, and currencies with residents. Including these sectors gives a more complete picture of the economy. Gross domestic product is the market value of all final goods and services produced within a country in a given period. Goods are valued at their market prices, ensuring all items are measured in the same units. Non-market activities such as housework done for oneself are excluded. This definition sets the boundaries for what is counted in GDP. GDP includes all items produced and sold legally in markets. It excludes most items produced and sold illicitly, as well as goods produced and consumed at home. This ensures that GDP reflects only officially recorded economic activity, providing a consistent measure for comparison across countries and time. GDP only includes final goods which are intended for the end user. Intermediate goods used as components or ingredients in the production of other goods are not counted separately. This avoids double counting and ensures that GDP accurately reflects the value of production in the economy. GDP includes both tangible goods like DVDs, mountain bikes, and beer, and intangible services, such as dry cleaning, concerts, and cell phone service. This broad inclusion ensures that GDP captures the full range of economic activity from manufacturing to service industries. GDP includes only currently produced goods, not goods produced in the past. This means that resale of used items such as second-hand cars or homes does not contribute to current GDP. Only new production is counted, reflecting the economy's present output. GDP measures the value of production that occurs within a country's borders, regardless of whether it is done by citizens or foreigners. This geographic focus distinguishes GDP from other measures such as gross national product, which considers nationality. GDP is measured over a specific time period, usually a year or a quarter. This allows economists to track changes in economic activity and compare performance across different periods. Consistent time frames are essential for meaningful analysis. GDP is the sum of four main components: consumption C, investment I, government purchases G, and net exports NX. These components add up to GDP, denoted as Y equals C plus I plus G plus NX. Understanding each component helps us see how different sectors contribute to the economy. Consumption, or C, is the total spending by households on goods and services. For renters, consumption includes rent payments. For homeowners, it includes the imputed rental value of the house but not the purchase price or mortgage payments. Purchases of new housing are not included in consumption but are counted elsewhere in GDP. Investment, or I, is the total spending on goods that will be used in the future to produce more goods. This includes business capital, residential capital, and inventory accumulations. Investment does not refer to the purchase of financial assets like stocks and bonds, but rather to physical and intellectual property that contributes to future production. Government purchases, or G, include all spending on goods and services by the government at the federal, state, and local levels. Transfer payments, such as Social Security or unemployment benefits, are excluded because they are not purchases of goods or services. This distinction ensures that only direct government consumption is counted. Net exports, or NX, are calculated as exports minus imports. Exports represent foreign spending on the economy's goods and services, while imports are the portions of consumption, investment, and government purchases spent on goods produced abroad. Adding up all components gives the total GDP. Let's look at the US GDP and its components for 2015. The total GDP was $17,947 billion, with consumption making up 68.4%, investment 16.8%, government purchases 17.7%, and net exports at minus 2.9%. This breakdown shows how different sectors contribute to the overall economy and highlights the importance of consumption. Understand GDP in practice. Let's consider some real-world examples. If Debbie spends $300 on dinner, consumption and GDP rise by $300. If Sarah buys a laptop built in China for her business, investment rises by $1,200, net exports fall by $1,200, and GDP is unchanged. These scenarios illustrate how different transactions affect GDP and its component. Let's continue with more examples. If Jane buys a computer built last year, current GDP and investment do not change. If General Motors builds $500 million worth of cars but sells only $470 million, consumption rises by $470 million, inventory investment rises by $30 million, and GDP rises by $500 million. These cases show the nuances of GDP measurement. Nominal GDP values output using current prices and is not corrected for inflation. Real GDP, on the other hand, uses the prices of a base year and is corrected for inflation. For the base year, nominal GDP equals real GDP. This distinction is crucial for understanding changes in economic activity over time. Let's compute nominal GDP for 3 years using pizza and latte sales. In 2014, nominal GDP is $6,000. In 2015, it's $8,250, and in 2016, it's $10,800. These calculations use current prices and quantities, showing how nominal GDP reflects both price and output changes. Now let's compute real GDP using 2014 as the base year. In 2014, real GDP is $6,000. In 2015, it's $7,200, and in 2016, it's $8,400. Real GDP uses constant prices, allowing us to measure changes in output without the effects of inflation. Comparing nominal and real GDP, we see that nominal GDP is measured using current prices, while real GDP uses constant prices from the base year. This comparison helps us understand the impact of inflation and the true growth in economic output. The change in nominal GDP reflects both prices and quantities, while the change in real GDP shows how output changes if prices are constant. Real GDP is corrected for inflation, making it a better indicator of economic growth. Looking at nominal and real GDP in the US from 1965 to 2015, we see long-term growth. Real GDP, adjusted for inflation, provides a clearer picture of economic progress. Tracking these trends helps policymakers and analysts understand the health of the economy. The GDP deflator is a measure of the overall level of prices. It is calculated as 100 times nominal GDP divided by real GDP. The GDP deflator shows the current level of prices relative to the base year and helps compute the economy's inflation rate. Let's compute the GDP deflator for 3 years. In 2014, it's 100, in 2015, it's 114.6, and in 2016, it's 128.6. These values show how prices have increased relative to the base year, helping us track inflation over time. Let's practice computing GDP using real data. Given prices and quantities for 2 goods across 3 years, we can calculate nominal GDP, real GDP, and the GDP deflator. This exercise helps reinforce how these concepts are applied in real-world scenarios. For 2014, nominal GDP is calculated as $30 times 900 plus $100 times 192, totaling $46,200. This uses current prices and quantities, illustrating how nominal GDP reflects both price and output. For 2015, real GDP is calculated using base year prices, $30 times 1,000 plus $100 times 200, totaling $50,000. This approach removes the effects of inflation, focusing on actual output changes. For 2016, the GDP deflator is calculated as 100 times nominal GDP divided by real GDP. With nominal GDP at $58,300 and real GDP at $52,000, the GDP deflator is 112.1. This value shows how much prices have increased since the base year. Real GDP per capita is the main indicator of the average person's standard of living. However, GDP is not a perfect measure of well-being. Robert Kennedy famously criticized GDP for not accounting for health, education, joy, or the quality of life. GDP measures economic output, but not everything that makes life worthwhile. GDP does not value the quality of the environment, leisure time, non-market activity such as childcare at home, or an equitable distribution of income. These limitations mean that GDP cannot fully capture the well-being of a society, highlighting the need for additional measures. Despite its limitations, GDP matters because a large GDP enables a country to afford better schools, a cleaner environment, healthcare, and more. Many indicators of quality of life are positively correlated with GDP, making it a useful though imperfect measure of economic well-being. Studies show that countries with higher GDP tend to have higher life expectancy. This positive relationship suggests that economic prosperity can support better health outcomes, though it is not the only factor involved. Countries with higher GDP also tend to have higher average schooling levels. Economic resources allow for greater investment in education, which in turn supports long-term growth and development. Overall life satisfaction, measured on a scale from 0 to 10, is often higher in countries with greater GDP. While GDP is not the only determinant of happiness, it provides resources that can improve quality of life. Summarize: gross domestic product measures a country's total income and expenditure. The four spending components are consumption, investment, government purchases, and net exports. Nominal GDP uses current prices, while real GDP uses constant prices and is corrected for inflation. GDP is the main indicator of economic well-being, though it is not perfect. Understanding GDP is essential for grasping the fundamentals of economics. It provides a snapshot of a nation's economic activity, guides policy decisions, and helps compare countries in time periods. While GDP has its limitations, it remains a key tool for measuring economic progress and well-being. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the principles of GDP. If you're interested in learning more, consider exploring related topics such as economic growth, inflation, and unemployment. These concepts build on GDP and provide deeper insights into how economies function and evolve. Stay curious and keep exploring the world of economics. This video was based on the Principles of Economics by N. Gregory Mankiw, with premium slides by V. Andrea Kairaitzku. Special thanks to Eastern Illinois University and Cengage Learning for their resources. We hope this overview has helped clarify the essentials of GDP and its importance in economic analysis.